I'm Jim Duncan with Nest Realty, associate broker and partner. We're here talking about the Crozet real estate market. Here with David Ferrall.
I'm David Ferrall, also an associate broker at Nest Realty. Like Jim, I live here in Crozet, and we consider ourselves pretty knowledgeable in local real estate matters.
We're talking about today about Crozet and what the market data and market stats were for the first half of 2015 versus the first half of 2014. For our purposes, we define Crozet as the Brownsville Elementary School District and the Crozet Elementary School District. There are various means by which to determine and define Crozet, but for our purposes, that's among the best that we can do.
I think it's a pretty good way of defining the area. I think it's a good way to do it, Jim.
Yep.
For the first half of the year, we had 124 sales, total sales in Crozet, compared to 104 last year. So sales were up almost 20%.
Yeah, and we saw that prices were up too. I mean, we break them down by single-family homes and attached homes. And I saw that single-family home sale prices were up about 4% for the median price. We're up about 4% year over year, and for attached homes, it was up significantly. The sale price for median sale price for attached homes in Crozet were up nearly 12%, which is a significant increase year over year. One of the things looking at the contracts, contract data is a way to sold data. You're looking backwards. Pending and under contract, you're looking kind of forwards.
Right.
We saw that the total contracts written first half of 2014 versus first half of 2015, contracts were up about 19%.
Not bad. We saw pretty much the same thing in quarter to quarter. If we compare 2014 to 2015, sales were up 10%.
Wow.
Prices were up 5% on the average. Price per square foot was up about 10% as well. So
what does price per square foot mean to you?
It's funny you should ask, Jim. For me, the price per square foot is a good way of evaluating what a house costs. Houses aren't apple to apple, as you well know, unless you're in a tract development. There's really no similarity between properties. So price per square foot is a way that we can look at a house and try to compare it to another house.
Another thing that we looked at, one of the questions that we get frequently, and I tend to ask questions on Twitter and the Real Crozet Facebook page in advance of some of these stories. And one of the questions I posed last night was what percentage of homes sold in Crozet were in Old Trail? And a few people made some pretty good guesses of the four options I put out there. But I was a little bit surprised to see that, in 2014, 28% of the homes sold in the first half of the year were in Old Trail. And this year, only 20% sold were in Old Trail.
I think that's an indication of some new neighborhoods opening up, in particular the Foothills.
Right.
Got a new neighborhood at Westlake. Westlake Hill, I think they're calling
Westlake Hill.
So Old Trails could be a predominant driver. I think they're only built out, 25 or 30%?
35%.
Something like that. So clearly it's going to be a player for many, many years, but I think some of these other developments are going to take away a little business from Old Trail.
Yeah, I think we're seeing that the growth patterns in Crozet are expanding as well as we're sitting here in the Mud House, and once the lumberyard gets redeveloped, eventually, and the Westlake Hills and the rest of the Foothill develops, we're going to see some of that pull away from Old Trail, I think.
I think that's possible, and as the infrastructure comes in and the connector road is built, and there's more ways in and out of this part of Crozet and east of here.
Right.
I think it becomes just a different attraction. It's not better or worse than Old Trail. It's just different.
Yeah, I think that we both have buyers who evaluate the entirety of the Crozet market, and I think that some of the breakdown is folks who back into Old Trail. I think you've got some who absolutely desire Old Trail and nothing else, and I think you have some who say, that's a really nice neighborhood, but it's not my cup of tea. And they want to look a little bit beyond it and have access to different things in Crozet.
And as we talked about, Brownsville and Crozet covers the outlying areas as well, and there's still 1 in 6 buyers chooses to buy outside of a newer development type neighborhood.
Yeah, which I think is an interesting thing is that as Crozet has grown, I've been here for 12 years. It's grown significantly. You still have a lot of people who are targeting the older neighborhoods as well. They like St. George and Laurel Hills. Laurel Hills has been a phenomenal neighborhood from a sales standpoint. So they want. You still have people who are looking for that old Crozet walk to everything location.
Or bike to everything.
Bike to everything. I took a picture last week, I think, on one of my bike rides coming back down Jarman's Gap, and there were a dozen people.
I saw that picture.
I think it was a testament to what we're seeing good infrastructure is doing to downtown.
What a
Crozet.
change. I mean, just a couple years ago, Jarman's Gap was quiet two-lane country road.
And terrifying on which to ride a bike.
Terrifying on which to ride a bike.
I mean, I think that, one of the things I'd like to do with this segment too is, because we're going to do this segment every quarter. So we're going to talk about, sort of the same stuff: median prices, price per square foot, where things are selling,
Trends.
market trends, and I think eventually we'll get into market trends, in Crozet, but also looking at stuff that is beyond Crozet now in the greater Charlottesville area. But the focus here is going to be talking about today, tomorrow, and just we were talking about briefly before. What would you say the second half of 2015 is going to bring?
I think the second half is going to remain strong. I mean, we're relatively strong coming out of the first half.
Mm-hmm.
There's a fair amount of pending contract activity going into the second half. Interest rates remain low. I know people are worried about, there's talk about rising interest rates. I think people are worried about that.
Yeah, but we've heard that for 3 years.
We've heard it for years, but I think it keeps pressure on buyers.
Yeah.
New home activity is still strong, so I think people are going to be continuing to buy properties in the second half of the year, and I think 2015 is going to go down as another strong year for real estate in Crozet. Crozet continues to be a very, very desirable place for people to settle down.
It's a target. I mean, I think that people
It's a
recognize that they want to be. A lot of my clients, they identify Crozet first, and then figure out a way how to get here. They say, I want to live here, and then they figure out the job aspect later. Final note, I guess. I'm not sure. What I think we'd like to do is have folks, contact us with questions. If we said anything in this segment that piques your interest, give us a call or an email.
We're always here. We're always available. Whether you want to buy or sell a property is not necessarily important. If you got a question about real estate, maybe what your house is worth or what it may be worth in the future. Maybe you want to downsize, maybe you want to upsize. Just give us a call. We're happy to sit down and talk to you about it.
I mean, we're doing this here at Crozet Mud House, and it's one of my favorite places in all of Crozet. And always happy to buy someone a cup of coffee and maybe a Powerball here, and just have a conversation about real estate.